Test. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good morning.
Day 3, right? Or
Day 2, technically.
Oh, okay.
That's what the sign says.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome to DrupalCon Day 2, everyone.
Day 3.
We made it. This week would not be possible without the amazing staff and hundreds of volunteers that brought this idea to a reality. So please, if you volunteered, if you're on the staff, you did any work to make this possible, please give yourselves a round of applause.
Right.
Stand up if you like. I won't put you on the spot, but thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to be passing the mic around a lot.
So the Drupal Association is our nonprofit organization. The DA brings you DrupalCon, powers Drupal.org, and supports our community. So I encourage you to support the Drupal Association as a one-time donor, as a volunteer, as a Ripple Maker. The Ripple Makers provide sustained support month by month. I encourage you to do this. And as all of us, we're all a community of passionate individuals committed to supporting our shared mission of driving the innovation and adoption of Drupal as a high-impact digital public good. So go to drupal.org/donate.
So DrupalCon unites experts from around the globe who create ambitious digital experiences. We come to DrupalCon to network, learn, and be inspired. The event is powered by volunteers and staff worldwide. Again, we want to give a special thank you to all the volunteers who are contributing time, treasure, and talent, especially throughout the steering committee. So give them a round of applause, please. On that note, because it is a volunteer organization, we are seeking new voices. So if you want to learn how to join an existing committee or start a new committee, please come up and talk to any one of these lovely people, especially Jasmine, for your ideas and if you want to volunteer. Make sure you leave your mark on DrupalCon Atlanta like Sean is doing in this picture. Where's Sean? Is he here? Oh, there he is. Yeah. All right, cool. So be like Sean and leave your mark on DrupalCon Atlanta at the Drupal Association booth. You can tag yourself in your city, draw your local camp association logo. Who knows their local association camp logo? By raise of hands. That's actually a pretty good number, okay. So if you don't know your logo, there's logos actually in the local Drupal community space with stickers, and then you can take that, memorize it, and then go draw it on the actual board in the booth. And do whatever you want. We can't wait to see how your creativity comes alive. And I guess I probably should have said who I was before I started talking. But I'm Frederick Mitchell. I'm on the steering committee. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the clap. Yes, no, that's Josh. Josh is part of the Frederick Mitchell fan club, so I appreciate that, Josh. Thank you. And one of my responsibility this year was welcoming new community members. This was the first initiative we did this year, and the goal, ultimately, for this initiative was to bring back the lore of DrupalCon. So for those who have been part of the Drupal community, like myself, 14, 15, 16 years, you remember those times when you would come to DrupalCon, and you would see all your friendly faces, etc., and then something called COVID happened, and everything became online. So it's like, well, why would I go? I can just look at all the sessions online. So we want to bring that lore back, coming and meeting people, getting that energy, etc. So when we talked about it and tried to figure out how to actually accomplish this mission, we settled on 4 specific things. One, we wanted to lean on our local Drupal communities. So basically what that means is that if you don't know, especially if you're new to Drupal in the DrupalCon space, there's actually communities and user groups and camps all around the country. So we want to lean on those folks because those folks are doing really, really cool and awesome work to make sure that if you have questions, if you want to meet people local to your area, if you want to network, etc., the local community is where it's at. Second thing we did is we wanted to make sure that if you came to DrupalCon and this is the first time you've actually been exposed to Drupal, to connect you with those local folks. Because as time has gone on, and again, as COVID and different things have happened, right? Members have come, they've go. And so how do we actually make sure that the folks who come to DrupalCon and are excited about what we're doing actually connect and have something, a call to action after they leave? So we want to make sure you can connect with those folks. The third thing we wanted to do was actually elevate the folks who are doing that work in the local community, right? So these are the Drupal community leaders, and we call them ambassadors. And for those folks, they have this bright gold tag on their name badge. So if you see them, don't be afraid to go up there and ask them any kind of question. That is why they volunteer to become ambassadors, and they will tell you everything you need to know about not only their group, but also what it means to be part of the Drupal community. And then last but not least, as referencing the previous slide, right, we want to celebrate each community's uniqueness. The Florida Drupal camp isn't like the New Jersey Drupal camp, isn't like the Bay Area Drupal camp. There's all these unique things that each camp offers with almost like a unique voice. So we want to make sure we highlight that. And ultimately, the vision and all the efforts led to 20 communities registering with 31 ambassadors, which is pretty cool for the first time. So this is something we think we're going to keep going moving forward. With that, I will pass it to Jasmine.
Thank you, Frederick. Okay, so I served as the social and local committee leader. I was very honored to be tapped to join or lead in this capacity once I learned that DrupalCon would be coming to my city, be coming to my hood. So the goal of our committee was to advocate for more opportunities for contribution, as well as provide more visibility into diverse groups within the Drupal community. I know that when I first started attending DrupalCon, 3 years ago in Portland, it was like 2022. I just remember how it was such a welcoming and warm and inviting environment, more so than I'd ever experienced at a tech conference. So I was really excited to, serve in this capacity on the first of its kind committee for DrupalCon. So we also assisted the marketing committee with suggestions for things to do while you're here. So please look at the blog posts and all the things that we put together for you guys to do while you're here in Atlanta. We also organized trivia night. So tomorrow night, we have a trivia night, of course. That's the, flagship, I guess, event for DrupalCon. And we worked with the DA to procure today's awesome keynote speaker, Yamilee Toussaint. So yes, I was very excited to bring the fun in any way that I could and provide suggestions and things to do here. So, yeah. All right.
Hi there, I'm Mike Anello. I led the Contribution Advocacy Committee. And I think I first want to acknowledge, I don't think we've done it yet, is to thank the DA for trusting us to really steer things. I don't think there was anything that we asked for that we didn't get, which is kind of puts us in the fantastic position of being able to ask for more next year without any fear whatsoever. This year with Contribution, we really focused on just more. More outreach for new contributors and mentors, more benefits to the mentors to really show our appreciation, more orientations. They've been going on all week. There's another one today. And, the goal is to have more engaged contributors after DrupalCon.
Yay, good job. What a transition.
So my name is Nikki Flores, Monica Dealer on Drupal.org, and our community committee goal was to make the conference as accessible as possible, from the size of the font on the signs to the badges, as well as for accessibility around the venue. And the metric we used is to increase the types of participants who attend. There were 3 sections that we were using as our focus areas, and that included a focus on Drupal's core values and principles, which you can find with that link. We also wanted to have visibility be the key, because if you see it, you believe it, you achieve it. And I know standing here in front of all of you, I do not like to be on stage, but when I was young, I never saw a woman on stage like me, and so I said, if I can do it, then perhaps the next generation can do it as well. Thank you. I also wanted to focus on the psychological and physical safety of our participants, members, staff, and volunteers. And my question to you, when you join us on the committee next year, by talking to any of us, again, this is our first year. That was not mentioned. That this is the first year we have a steering committee. How do we make our community even more welcoming and inclusive? And how do we build that sense of belonging? So please do reach out to me if you have questions or ideas. My hope is that this becomes the standard operating procedure. So repeatability, we can do this year after year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. DrupalCon will be even more of what we believe it to be. Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Bree Benish. I had the great privilege and responsibility of helping to run speaker review this year for DrupalCon Atlanta 2025. Our goal was to select a dynamic lineup of content that I hope was appealing, interesting, and educational for our incredibly diverse community with all levels of expertise, skill, interest, while also including sessions regarding vital updates to Drupal in our community. How did we do this? We did it with 9 volunteer reviewers from different parts of the globe with different backgrounds and different expertise. We had people from project management, marketing, UX, accessibility, design, DevOps, back-end and front-end. We had people from agencies, from product-focused companies, from public service. We also had a compressed timeline, which we couldn't do much about, but we did the best we could with it. It stretched over Thanksgiving, which you know in the US is kind of a time of madness, especially if you have customers and deadlines. And we had to review 10 tracks and 639 sessions in that time. We also had a brand new track for Drupal CMS, and the team had to do all of this with a brand new speaker review lead, me. So I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the team who reviewed through holidays, through vacations, through crazy work deadlines, and they did it all with dedication, extreme thoughtfulness, and endless positivity. So I'm just going to call them all out, blow them up a little bit right now. Simran Sethi, Nick Dickinson-Wild, Akanksha Singh, Will Huggins, Joanna Kendrowski, Fran Wiley, Gloria Ireri, Jake Eineken, Sal Lakhani. And then a couple people helped from steering committee, Stephen Musgrave, Rosie Gladden, thank you. And Stephen also and Gabor helped make sure that we ensured key content about Drupal and Drupal CMS were represented in our lineup this week. Also, a shout out to Megan and Wendy for all your help with coordination and logistics, invisible heroes behind the scene. If you're curious about how we evaluate sessions, I've included a link here. You can click there and see all of our evaluation criteria. We look for things like, is it a good fit for the content area? Does the level of difficulty match the audience? Is it novel? Does it look like it'll be interesting? Is the presenter qualified? And we do watch your videos if you include them. So thank you for those. It is a time-consuming labor of love. If you would like to be involved in speaker review, I will let you know to respond early when the call for volunteers goes out, because we're going to have more than 5 weeks this time. We're going to start a lot earlier. So be sure to get your response in early. And last but not least, feedback is a gift. Please give it to us. Let us know what we did well. Let us know what we can do better for you next year. We're going to send out a survey, and I also have a BOF scheduled today, 2 p.m. in the room called Lennox. Thank you so much. Sorry. Me again. So the steering committee's primary goal is to ensure that DrupalCon delivers a valuable and engaging experience for all attendees, promoting the community in Drupal and its projects. DrupalCon has historically been focused on the developers. We are moving towards bringing the voices, ideas, and feedback from all types of users, so content strategists, designers, marketers, and sharing the amazing things we're doing within and for our community, even with our end users. So the Communication Marketing Steering Committee is seeking your help. Please reach out if you'd like to get involved.
Hi. So core is the heart and soul of Drupal. Without it, we're not functioning. During my selection committee, my role was to make sure we are highlighting the other things of Drupal, workspaces, AI, UI patterns. So that was my contribution to the committee. Again, as Bree mentioned, on the feedback form, if you feel there was a section we were missing, please highlight it so we can make sure we do better next time.
All right, thank you, Stephen. So we're almost there. So my promise, quick reminders. First and foremost, don't forget, we are all under the DrupalCon Code of Conduct. That's here to keep us safe and ensure everyone feels welcome. If you have any concerns, please get in touch. There we go. And contribution events, as I was saying before, continue. There is an additional first-time contributors workshop. All of these events are leading up to tomorrow's mentored contribution. So we look forward to that. And if you are working on any issues here in Atlanta on Drupal.org, please, 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 in the tags field on Drupal.org, use the Atlanta 2025 tag.
And for the photo policy, again, the QR code, do not take photos of people wearing the orange lanyards, but we do encourage you to take photos. There's a Flickr pool where you can share your photos as well. And if you want to grab a lanyard at the registration desk, use the orange one if you don't want to be photographed. There's also Birds of a Feather, BOFs, which you will hear about. There's a way for you to connect with others, talk about our own challenges, our solutions, our best practices. These are coordinated directly by you, and the sign up and schedule is on the QR code. They're happening in inside rooms all days.
And marketing contribution. So if you want to participate for marketers, creatives, those who are looking to contribute to Drupal that in a more creative way and you not in a code way, you have the opportunity to do so. This was mentioned yesterday. So we have the writers contribution led by Rosie Gladden to write posts for Drupal social media channels, as well as a designer's contribution with Nick Koger, who is the product marketing manager for the DA, to create Drupal branded graphics with Canva. So if you want to contribute in this way, scan that QR code. No experience required. Bring your creativity. That's all you need. And help amplify Drupal's message and make an impact. So you can also join this Slack channel here, promote Drupal-social on the Drupal Slack workspace. And again, I want to take a moment to encourage you all to get out in my city, Atlanta, explore. These are a few restaurants and attractions that are all within 5 miles of the Hyatt Regency. Atlanta Breakfast Club. Amazing. It's within walking distance of here. Please go by there. Support these businesses. Skyview, it's a Ferris wheel, and you don't get like awesome views of the city, but it's fun. It's a fun time. But yeah, Centennial, you get a good view of Centennial Park, which is also adjacent to the Georgia Aquarium, the National Center for Civil and Human Rights. Very interesting. Definitely encourage you all to pay a visit there. College Football Hall of Fame. Any college football folks? Roll Tide? Anybody? Okay. All right. Anywho, yeah, but that's also a fun time. Very interesting facts there. Pond City Market, I know somebody's having a party there tonight, but that is also a really cool place. Lots of shopping, lots of food, and it's a good place to start exploring the Beltline. The Beltline connects to Pond City Market, so the weather, you could not have come at a better time for Atlanta, because right after this is when we enter like scorching, like I don't know how to even describe it. So this was like a perfect week weather-wise for you to get out. So the Beltline is definitely a place you want to be. And if you haven't already, please RSVP for Trivia Nights. I want to give a special shout out to everybody on that committee who helped bring Trivia Night to life. We have some really cool categories this year, some that are related to Atlanta, and we're going to have a good time. So it's going to be here at the venue in this room here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Please RSVP. We have a Slack channel. It may be cut off there, but it's DrupalCon-trivia in Slack. If you need help forming your team, hop in that Slack channel and get it going. Or you can wait until you get there and we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. All right. And with that, I would like to bring up Josh Koenig, co-founder of Pantheon, to the stage to introduce our keynote speaker. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
If you're responsible for important WordPress and Drupal websites, you should focus on delivering exceptional results, not dealing with hosting, operations, and integrations. That's why we've collaborated with top teams to create a modern approach to web infrastructure, workflows, and governance. With Pantheon, you get a fast, secure site experience, streamlined workflows, and easy management for all your sites from a single dashboard. Start building with Pantheon today.
Thank you all very much for having me and giving me a moment of your time. It is a privilege to be here in Atlanta. What a beautiful city. What a beautiful conference. I'm having a lot of fun. This is one of the best DrupalCons in quite a while. And thank you again to all the organizers and volunteers in the association for making this event possible. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh. I've been in this community for over 20 years. Ooh. But I remember the first time I went to an event like this. It was actually pre-DrupalCon. It was called the Open Source CMS Summit. It was in Vancouver, BC. I went, because I was working at an agency and it seemed like the thing to do. And Drupal had already changed my life a little bit, but that event changed my life forever because it was at that event that I saw what was possible. And it wasn't just because we were writing awesome code. It's because there were so many brilliant, creative people that were a part of this. And it made me think bigger about what I could do and what I wanted to do. It wasn't like I went off and immediately started Pantheon, but that was where that journey really started. We founded this company in 2010, coming out of our experience in the Drupal ecosystem with the idea that we need to change the way we work on these projects to be able to make our lives more sane and more stable, make our customers and clients happier, and ultimately do things that make an impact, that move the needle, that affect our reality, because we aren't just doing this stuff on the internet. Online and offline, that's a distinction that doesn't exist anymore. The work we do changes the world around us, and it's really important that we do the work well in a sustainable way that lets us keep our weekends so that we can spend time with our friends and family, or go to camps if that's what we want to do. And that's what Pantheon's all about. So I hope you'll visit us at our booth. We have really cool t-shirts. If you watch a little bit of our engaging demo content, you can get one of those. We are hosting this big party at Ponce City Market tonight. Everyone's invited. I hope you all can attend. And I'm going to be hosting a BOF at 12:30. I am keen to further this conversation about not just what's the future of Drupal, the product, not just what's the future of Drupal, the community, but what is the future of Drupal, the economy? Because many of us are here in a professional capacity, and I think we're at a really interesting time in helping to chart the future of what the commercial ecosystem around Drupal and that contains Drupal or that Drupal overlaps with looks like, and it's a really interesting time, and I'm really looking forward to that conversation with all of you. But that's my time. I'll get out of the way. I'm super happy to invite Yamilee Toussaint to join us. As someone who got a Bachelor of the Fine Arts in theater, true story, I really, really love her story, so I think you're really gonna enjoy hearing from her. Yamilee, will you please take the stage?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here at DrupalCon. My parents would be very proud that I'm here. Preparing for this talk made me think about this time many years ago when I called my parents. This was very memorable because I was telling them what I was going to be doing post-college. Now, let me just give you a bit of context. So my father, he has been a mechanical engineer his entire career. He's retired now, but that was how he made his way, especially coming from Haiti as a teenager. So engineering has been a big part of our family. My mom also had a technical career. She worked in a hospital lab, And as a kid, or when I was a kid, she would shuttle me to all the dance practices, all the violin lessons, all the parents out there, do you feel me? She was that person that got me places, so very invested in what I would be doing for my future. My older brother, he followed in my father's footsteps and became a mechanical engineer, okay? And I also went to college for mechanical engineering. So I studied at MIT. I'm in my senior year, and I figured out what I'm gonna do. So I call my father. I say, hey, bring mom to the phone. And you know, when that happens, they're already starting to be concerned, like, what is she about to say? And I tell them, okay, I decided what I'm gonna do after MIT. I'm gonna be a math teacher. And the silence that was on the other side of the phone, if it had a feeling, it would be confusion, disappointment. But I shared that because that was a very pivotal moment in my journey. What was maybe a shock for them was the beginning of the biggest breakthrough that I had, the most innovative moment for me, which was founding this organization, a social impact organization called STEM from Dance. And what I want to talk about today is what goes into these moments of innovation. For me, it was making that decision to become a math teacher, which I'll share more about. But that's what I want to have us think about this morning is, and for me to share what I've learned about what it takes to think of new ideas. And because dance has been a big role in my life, I want to share that through the lens of dance. I think there are so many things that, although we may not all feel like dancers, I think there's so many things that we can learn through dance. So excited to share these ideas with you. So first, I wanted to share a bit more of my background. So like I mentioned, I got the chance to study engineering, and while I was doing so, I was just so fascinated by all the things I was learning as an engineer, just being able to go to the lab, create new things, make robots, so fascinated by it. And at the same time, I kept noticing that in my classes, I would often be the only or one of a few Black women in my classes. And it made me at times question whether I belonged in the room. And so it just got me thinking, there's gotta be a solution to this so that there is more equity in spaces like engineering classrooms. And that is what led me to want to become a math teacher. I wanted to find out what was happening in the K-12 space that was leading to what I was seeing in college. And as a teacher, I kept hearing my students say how much they dislike math, which for me, I really enjoy math. I love teaching algebra, and you know, that enthusiasm wasn't felt by my ninth graders. And just seeing how much math just seemed like this barrier, this like nuisance, this thing that they just had to get out the way so that they could move on in life, got me thinking, okay, we have to change the mindset, the feeling, the connotation that young people, especially girls, have when it comes to math. And I wanted to take an approach that was different than anything that had been done before, because clearly it wasn't getting us to where we needed to go. And that's what led me think about my life as my life at that point as a dancer, and how much dance made me feel excited, joyful, active. I get to move, I get to connect. And what if that was what it felt like to learn math and engineering? So from that, I created STEM from Dance. And here's the program in action. So we have girls who are making dance performances that incorporate technology. So they get the chance to dance, make their own choreography, but then also incorporate things like coding a drone with their performance, making lights to their costume, coding different graphics to their videos, and doing that alongside each other, having community, being able to think creatively about what technology can add to dance. and really being an atmosphere where they're encouraged, where they can see people who look like them, they can join hands, encourage each other when it gets difficult. And this program is taking place over the summer, after school, in different spaces. But no matter where it happens, they get to create something, really imagine what's possible, and start to see themselves in the role of creator, innovator, dancer, performer. And I think they will be the future of our creative workforce. And then just a bit about what we've accomplished. So it's been 13 years since I founded the organization. We've served 5,000 girls, at this point 1,000 annually. We've been in 10 cities across the country. We've raised $12 million to date, and have been able to be honored in places like CNN Heroes last year, a few awards from MIT, Forbes, and this Friday, I'll be on the Jennifer Hudson show talking about this work as well. Yes. And we have a big, audacious goal to reach 1 million girls in the next 10 years. No big deal, but we know that this is what is needed, and that spark of dance could really create new opportunities for girls all over the country. And so I wanted to, again, talk through innovation through the lens of dance. Here is an image just to remind us of how human dance is. And this is for the people in the room who are like, dance? I don't dance. Why are we talking about dance? I want to remind us that, this is an image that came from caves in India over 9,000 years ago. So this is the earliest depiction of dance that we know of. So before there was written language and cities, we danced. Over every continent, group of people, we see evidence of dance. Dance is just so instinctive to our experience as people, which is why I think there's so much that we can learn from it. And so, with that, I want to share my first thought, which is that discomfort drives breakthrough. Balance perfected is movement halted. True growth happens at the wobble. And the wobble, what's the wobble? For those who work out, when you're like stretching and then you like start to like shake, or like this person here, right? This is the moment that, although uncomfortable, is where we start to see what is possible. I know for me, in my dance training, stretching is like the worst, because it like hurts so much. But then with the flexibility that you get from stretching over and over again, there's things that you can do that otherwise you couldn't. I draw a lot of inspiration from the breaking dance style. They just do the most crazy things. And so from this, I think there's a takeaway to just really think about how we push ourselves to that edge of comfort, till we get to the place where we're really pushing our thinking about what's possible. And I think dancers really illustrate this. And I think about my own journey when I was in that math classroom thinking, okay, there's gotta be a different way. I really wanted to push myself to think, okay, I can just think, okay, I can, do some kind of after-school club where we talk about STEM and how amazing it is. But how can I push myself to think about something that didn't exist already? And it's hard, and I was grappling with it, grappling to the point where I'm just thinking like, maybe I should just like go get myself an engineering job and just like put this thought to the side. But it was like pushing myself to think about something different that led to my breakthrough moment. I think also when I think about discomfort, it's just the power of like pausing. Sometimes we're in the rhythm of going, doing, but it's pausing that can help us know what we're missing, or see things that we otherwise don't, or really just have things stand out in different ways. And in dance, pausing is really powerful because it creates like texture. And so I prepared this clip here because you can see in this dancer the way that he uses like different moments to pause, and it just creates an impact on the eye that I think is really powerful. That one at the end gets some air time. So yes, I think there's an opportunity to think about just in the flow of life and work, how we pause and how that can cause things to stand out in different ways. And third, pivoting too. Pivoting can be very uncomfortable. And I thought of an example from my own experience. So this is a picture of my first pilot of STEM from Dance. It was me. I had a full-time job. I left 3 o'clock and went to East New York and Brooklyn to go to the school. And I just worked with a few girls, and it was math tutoring and dancing. That was my first idea. Just the two happening next to each other would be sufficient. But turns out that it didn't really integrate. So the next thing I tried was at a community center. This was my next iteration. It was math tutoring, dancing, and robotics. Maybe robotics would bring the two together. But you see, they're just dancing. I didn't see the integration that I really wanted. Then I had this idea to use lights on a costume. So this is many years ago. You can see the quality of the video. But they sewed lights onto their costume with conductive thread, which was a nightmare. But this is when I started to see, okay, now visually you see the two happening at the same time. And then continued going along that direction with more lights and looking at other parts of clothing like sneakers and hair, and just went crazy with the lights. And again, this was starting to come together more, even the girls were starting to see the connection that dance could have to STEM. Even got to partner with Illuminate for some fun costumes. And then this next clip is present day. This is from our showcase, from our summer camp. And you could just see the evolution of the idea from when it started. And the girls make all these costumes, they make the ideas, they make the choreography, they get to create, and like I mentioned, this is now oh yeah, and I added this. This is what it feels like. I'm in year 13 of leading this work, and I just feel I just keep falling, but then I just get back up. Let's get back up. So just, again, a reminder for us as we think about how to push ourselves past what's comfortable, because I feel at that edge is where we find the gold. All right. So next, I want to talk about authenticity, how it amplifies impact. What makes you strange makes you valuable. What makes you unique makes you irreplaceable. I remember feeling like I was odd for being the one who likes dance and engineering and then became a teacher. You all have heard the 10,000 hour rule. I was man, I failed at that because I divided my 10,000 hours across these different things. And I just remember feeling a moment of crisis, what am I gonna do with these disparate paths? But learned that for me, it was at the intersection of these things, the combination of them positioned me to do something that I was uniquely able to do. And that what seemed like a weakness was actually a strength. And so I would love for us all to think about that thing that makes us uniquely us. And as a dance example, who other than Michael Jackson? He had just what was special about his artistry is that he created his own way of moving that is very distinctly him. And that we all remember and can recognize. I think there is, I think that's what we all hope for, is to find that thing that is uniquely us. There's so many dancers. These are the dancers that came to mind as I thought about those who really established that sense of authenticity. Savion Glover, what was so special about him is he took this combination of tap, like that old school, the Broadway tap, but then added elements of hip hop and jazz, to it his own lived experience, to it he brought his environment, his context to remix what we know of tap. We know Fred Astaire is a pioneer, Alvin Ailey, very distinct style. I think Martha Graham is also really important to highlight. She came in at a time when what was standard was ballet. And ballet is very calculated, it's very specific, but she introduced what we now know of as modern dance through making things like angles and tension and contracting, things that didn't exist in ballet that now is a whole new dance form to us. And the Jabberwockies, because why not? They're so fun. I just think there's ways that it's these people, these ways of thinking. And I think what's special about all these people is that they just stood very squarely in who they are, where they came from, their background. They brought that to the genre that they're part of. And so I bring that all to you. How do you think about the unique things about you, the places that you've been, the way that you were, the things that you were surrounded by, how that can influence your field? Because the way that you bring that in, for me, it was me bringing my odd combination that has led to the impact that I've seen. So I think that is great to think about. And third, I want to talk about repetition. The new is not found in what's never been done, but in mastering what's familiar and doing it differently. I think when I think about my training as a dancer, it was really about doing things over and over and over and over and over again. In all the different dance genres I've done, like ballet, jazz, modern, point, African, you usually start with some kind of warm-up. Most of the warm-up is at the bar. So hours of time just spent at the bar, stretching, and there's something that's kind of boring about that. I would remember just trying to get that out the way in dance class. We gotta do the bar, and then we could do the fun stuff. But it is in that repetition that I gained the muscle memory, the strength, the flexibility to be able to do the fun stuff. And I think there's a way that we could apply that, because I think there's a sense that things that are repetitive are boring, for sure not innovative. But I found a lot of innovation through that repetition. And for those who don't know about the bar, this is pretty much it. You just stand there for a long time and you're corrected and you're adjusted and you just do this over and over again. And I just think that there is something powerful that's at the opposite of change, about how we learn about our strengths, what we're capable of. And I think another example we could pull from dance, anybody familiar with Alvin Ailey, Revelations? Alvin Ailey was a pioneer, a black dancer who founded a company, and one of the signature pieces that this company created is called Revelations. It's about the black experience back in from times of slavery to the 60s or so. And this dance has been repeated so many times. I tried to look how many times it's been performed, couldn't find it, but it has to be hundreds of thousands of times this piece has been performed. Every year the company has a season, they always perform this piece. And I imagine okay, in some way, can it be not that interesting to perform the same piece over and over again as a dancer? But then when that's been happening for decades at this point, there is a new interpretation that people have that applies to this day versus when it first premiered. So let me play the clip so you can see it and just see the power of like of what can happen when you repeat something. I'll pause it there. I want to go back. But yes, that piece, again, has been performed so many times, and it's like every time I see it, it's like I feel something new. It can inspire me in different ways. And had the company not, really endured to tell that story each time, I think that we would miss something. So with that, I'll say that I think oftentimes we think innovation comes from thinking outside of the box, but I think dancers know that it's really what happens inside the box. When you stay, when you repeat, you keep listening, you move a little differently, that like repetition doesn't have to be the enemy of creativity, but it can be where reinvention takes place. So the question I pose to you all is, what familiar rhythm in your work might hold new possibilities if you approached it with fresh eyes? Where are you avoiding repetition, mistaking it for stagnation? And what could you reinvent, not by starting over, but by starting again, more deeply? So with that, I wrap up by asking, what's your choreography? What's that thing that is for you to make? And what I shared today is that repetition is your foundation, discomfort is your catalyst, and authenticity is your signature. I think that, holler for that. Yes, I think that the world needs the ideas that are coming from us. It's like our unique rhythm, our particular wobbles, that distinctive creative signature. It happens when we step onto a stage with the courage to perform only what you can. So what performance have you been rehearsing, afraid to debut? What bold, innovative step have you been holding back from transforming your field? The stage is waiting, the music has started. It's time to dance. Thank you. I was told we do have a few moments if there are questions. Is anybody? And there are mics in the aisles. So I'll just pause in case there are any questions. And then we can wrap.
I had a question.
Yes.
Yamilee, thanks so much for sharing your story. If you had advice for somebody, 10 years ago, what would you tell that person?
10 years ago, I was at the beginning of starting this journey, and I remember telling people, like, hey, I have an idea. I want to combine STEM and dance and help girls be more excited about STEM. And friends and family, very supportive. Anybody else was like, what? Like, why? Like, and it kind of hurt when it came from like a potential funder. Like, I'm excited to get on the call, make that pitch, and they just did not get it. So I would tell myself at that time, is just because people don't get it doesn't mean that it's not gonna work. What that told me is I just need to help figure out for myself how to help other people understand what was so intuitive to me. But had I stopped because of the feedback, I would have missed out on like a moment like this. So that's what I would tell myself.
I really love the part where you showed the early stages of your idea and then how it evolved. And something I really struggle with is like come up with a creative idea, but then there's a gap between like the reality of what's happening and like the vision, the creative vision. And how do you discern between when it's right to just dig deep and stick with that vision versus the pivot to something new that original vision didn't have, but this is the new direction it should go in?
Oh, that's a good question, and one I still grapple with. That question reminds me of one of our early programs was this school-based program where we would have staff travel to schools throughout New York City to deliver the program. And we did it for years, and every year there was always like things that just didn't work. Like the kids didn't show up, or like they would show up for the first session, but then not for like the rest of the 10. And we still have to show up to the school for like another 10 weeks. Like I could list like all these things that just weren't working, and we would just keep trying to like change it in like small ways. Eventually, I just had to be honest and say like, this is not working. It's not getting the outcomes that we're looking for, and made the decision to sunset it. But with that came like the emergence of like some new ideas. Like actually, what if we have teachers teach this? They're already in the building. They know the students, right? We don't have to come from the outside in chasing the kids down. So like out of that came what now we're able, and so we have this new program we call it our clubs, and that's gonna be able to take place across the country with like little input from our team. We provide the curriculum, we train, all async, and now what was like this frustrating thing that was like hard to take off the ground in New York City can take place anywhere. I wish we made that decision sooner, like had that moment of honesty sooner. And doing it so many times helped us to see like what all the barriers were. So now even as we think about like doing it in LA and Atlanta, we know what to anticipate. So to answer your question, I would say it's hard to discern that sometimes, but for me, I've looked for like the thing that I try to, have that honesty, have like some sort of like objective measure. Like we saw like our metrics just like weren't hitting. And just like a good amount of bravery to say like, let's just take a big bet and like go either way and just like commit to the bet and just see what we learn from it.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yamilee, thank you so much. That was a really wonderful presentation. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more on the repetition is your foundation piece, because with a bunch of software people in the room, like people are thinking, no, we should just automate it. And there are certain things that could be automated, but like form, I believe you 1,000%. I just wondered if you could speak a little bit more on the type of repetition that gives rise to creativity.
Yes, in my role as like the founder and CEO of this organization, there's some things still that I'm like, especially if it's new for us, like I'm gonna do it myself. I probably should delegate it, probably should have somebody else do it, but in me just doing it myself, even sometimes it's like, here's a good example. We submit a lot of grants for RFPs and such. We had a grant writer. With the rise of AI, I'm like, I think I can use AI to like write these things. And so with like the little time I have, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be our grant writer. I'm gonna figure out how to use AI myself. And it takes so many hours. Just like doing it myself, like I've probably submitted like a good like 20 in like the past, I don't know, 3-4 months. And again, like I should delegate it to somebody, but me doing it myself so many times helps me to see what we need for a longer term solution. Like now I know like the skill set, I know how to test it, I know how to know if the outcome is of quality because I see the responses when with what I did. It just helps me, it helps set an expectation that then I could then, essentially automate and make more efficient. So I found that to be really helpful even with like sales. Whenever talking to like a new district and such, I want to be the one on the call because I want to hear the questions. I want to hear the pain points. I want to see how they respond to when I say something. So now when we train up a whole team to do it, like I know what it takes. So that's what I found beneficial before the step. Like that's where like the repetition comes in, and it's so time consuming and so frustrating. But I've seen the benefit of taking that approach.
Thanks again. I have two things. One, I just wanted to say thank you for taking time out. I mean, with all the accolades, being featured on CNN, you have to go on a TV show shoot, the fact that you came to our tech conference and, blessed us with your wisdom. I mean, I just want to say I really appreciate you taking the time to share your journey. And the question that I have is, the one thing I noticed, I think, in your slides was that this journey has been 13 years. Is that what it said? Mm-hmm. So, and that's a long time. So, can you share a little bit about when it was difficult? When I'm sure there were, lower points, things weren't happening the way that you wanted, even whether it's funding, talking to funders, et cetera. What pushed you through, and what has helped you sustain that longevity? Because that's pretty rare.
Yes, our growth follows an exponential curve. And the flat part of that curve, like I felt it. Like that was a good 7 years of my life. Again, like I started this pretty soon after graduating from college. And I thought it was gonna take off immediately. I'm like, I have a great idea. I'm gonna figure this out. And like, we're gonna like be national in like a year. I really thought that it would take off quickly. And so like seeing like 1 year and just like taking like one step further and like just like the very slow incremental growth is what I did not expect. And then even I think in year 7, there was like a dip. Like we raised like less money than like the year before. And that just like had a little bit of a crisis. So I'm like, I spent all this time, like I'm seeing my peers, go off in like lucrative consulting and finance careers, and here I was, like, going to East New York, Brooklyn on the train, just trying the instructor called out, I'm going in. That's what I'm doing, and I feel like that moment was important because it helped me to see, okay, there's something that's like not fully working about how I'm approaching it. I ended up finding somebody who became my coach, and she had been down the path before. She founded something, she grew it, she's coached others, so like her wisdom became like gold for me. And I feel like that's when I started to see a change. I think I just needed to learn, like there's certain things, especially when it comes to fundraising, there's a way to go about it, and I was winging it, not knowing there was like a way. So I feel like I just learned some things from that proximity, and what I didn't know was what was happening in that flat part was laying a groundwork, right? There were times when we started to go through our uptick that people would say like, oh, I heard you when you were, like I met you at this fair, or I heard you speak at this event, right? And I thought the outcome of those things would happen immediately, but it turned out to be like a few years down the line. So that was my journey. I felt like even in the flat part, there was always something that encouraged me to keep going. Even in that dip, like there would be like a student who would be like, oh my gosh, this changed my life. All right, even like today, there's like still so many challenges, but then I think about, like Melody, who is a junior here at Georgia Tech studying computer engineering, and she came to that place of studying engineering from coming to our summer camp. And like, just because she liked to dance, her mom wanted her to do something over the summer, and fell in love with STEM, and now I'm like convinced like she'll be in DrupalCon in a few years. So those are like those little things that make me go, okay, there's enough promise here to keep going. So that's helped me a lot over the years.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Hi, I
Yes.
found a lot of touch points in what you talked about. And let me say just briefly that I posted in the Slack channel another example of the relation between repetition and creativity, sort of an answer to Josh's question. But I really just have one question for you. You were an undergraduate at MIT. So were you aware of the now nearly 50-year-old experiment in combining STEM with dance known as Tech Squares?
Tell me.
The Square Dance Club at MIT, and it is heavily influenced by computer science and dancing.
Learning something new. Love that. Thank you. And I'm not surprised. MIT, all the quirks there. Yes. Well, thank you. And I think we're at time. So I put up this QR code. If you're interested in the work that Sent from Dance is doing, happy to connect, or not, still happy to connect. But thank you so much for having me today.
Again, thank you, Yamilee. When I saw you spoke at another conference a couple of years ago, and I met you there, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard of. I think that's so interesting. I have a 7-year-old. She's in robotics, Lego robotics right now, and so I think this would be like an awesome thing for her to do. So thank you so much again for blessing us. Jennifer Hudson, oh my God, I'm gonna watch that when you're on there for sure. Are they gonna do like the little line where you go down the hallway and dance? Okay, you gotta, all right, we're gonna see. But thank you again, and thank you everyone for being here today for this keynote. We really appreciate your presence, and yay, go DrupalCon. All right.